and we will talk about Family Search and the full text search. And so here you should be able to see my screen over here about Family Search Labs. And I have already signed in. If you've not signed in, you do need just a free Family Search account, and you can sign in and be able to look at things. So it's free, but you do need an account. And if you already have one for Family Search, that works just fine. And this is an experiment. So it says, keep in mind that everything in Family Search Labs is experimental and support is limited. We appreciate your feedback. And it also talks about that they might be down at times, but we're learning that when they go down, that usually means they're adding stuff. So it can be frustrating to lose it for a day or two, but it usually means something good is coming. So how I get there, you can also get there from the Family Search site, but I have this, I actually don't even have to type labs. I just start typing FamilySearch.org labs. It adds that EN, but that's how I get to it. And then it's this middle one right here. I'm going to go to experiment. And I will also let you know over the past 24 hours, this has been going off and on. So again, I'm hoping that it stays strong. And my storms have already slowed down. So hopefully that's going to be okay. So when you get here, this is where it says this is an experimental lab and is not guaranteed to always be available. And you might have errors and limited data. So let's give it a try. So I'm going to enter one of my ancestors, a fourth great grandfather, Robert Stewart, very common name, of course, but this is my brick wall on my maiden line. But it's just a name that we'll be able to look at a lot of records. So I chose that name, even though many of these records won't actually be him. So up here, you can see for Robert Stewart, there's over 91,000 records. And usually the first thing I do, so over here on search, you can see, whoops, let's see how there we go. Okay, again, learning how to do this. I need to go in on this side. Okay. You can put keywords and say, I want it to include this word. So for example, so my Robert Stewart's from Pennsylvania. I could say, I want it to include Pennsylvania. You could put a place, a year here, but I really go through everything over here on this collection, year, place, and record type. And we're going to start with place. So my ancestor lived in Pennsylvania. And so this is something I'm going to show you later, the different places around the world that you can find these records. But pretty much I'm only seeing the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the United Kingdom and Ireland. And then I found a few things that were like they show Hawaii separately because it was, it was the country before it was a state, and other things that don't, that are part of something now that they were not part of in the past, they can show up here. But for now, I'm going to filter to, these are the filters. I'm going to filter to the United States, and it'll give a list of states and how many records are available in each state. And so for Robert Stewart, there's almost 9,000 in Pennsylvania. So I'm going to want to narrow this down again. He lived in Centre County and Clinton County, county. And he actually lived in Bald Eagle Township, but I'm going to leave it here at the 49 and click apply to give us an idea of what kind of records we see. So here, so I have this, we can toggle this. This shows the facts or not. So it changes if I turn it to here, it shows all the people that are on this 2-page spread. So when you're searching for something, you're searching for the 2-page spread. And it says, we see all those names, we see these places, and we see these years. Or you can have it the default way, which is this, where it's giving you some lines where Robert Stewart appeared. And you can click more, and I think that must mean that he's on there 7 times. And so let's go ahead and go to this deed book and see what this looks like. So of course, over here, we have the image, and it's highlighting the keywords. So this is a deed from James Beck to Robert Stewart. And this is just the deed. And you can see these highlights. You can turn the highlights off if you want. Over here, this show keywords. So I can toggle those off or on. Here's the translation. Now, again, this is a 2-page spread. So the translation is going to start over here. Let's see. I think this actually says 307 and 306. It translated it transcribed it as 306 and sold and buy these presents, do bargain and sell. Now, this is artificial intelligence that's doing this, and this is something specific called optical character recognition. And optical character recognition is when a computer, an artificial intelligence reads handwriting and, sorry, this is optical character recognition is actually when it's typed and it gets the letters out of it. Handwriting recognition is when there's handwriting and it pulls it from that. So FamilySearch has a proprietary method. It's not the same thing if we're using Claude or ChatGPT. It's probably very similar, but it's what they've perfected. And it's quite good, but it's not perfect. If we scroll through here, I often see words that just don't make sense. I often find things that don't agree. But for the most part, it can fill in words because it has artificial intelligence. It can fill in words to make sense. So even when it can't read something, it will make a pretty good guess and it will fill those words in. So we have the transcript over here. We have regular features like on FamilySearch here. We've got where we can see all the pages, and hopefully I can get back. There we go. You can download it. You can adjust the image, the brightness, the contrast to make it read better. And so you can look at it better. You can zoom in and out. And you can also, there's other buttons. And the other thing here, we've got this summarize this document tab here. And we can click on that. And it's going to use artificial intelligence to generate additional details, or like a summary. It says AI generated the transcription below. And it says the text details a land transaction in Clinton County, Pennsylvania, involving multiple parties. And it talks about the dates and the names and relationships. And then we get back to the translation. So this is possibly a great way to quickly see if this has to do with your person. I've actually not been using this, but it's there for us. And one other thing while we're here, I want to show us how we get, if we don't know what this, where this is actually from. It does say it's Clinton Deed Books 1848 to 1865. But let's say you're trying to create a citation or something and you need to know where it's from. You can go over here. I go to, well, actually something's missing that was here yesterday. Yesterday, there was a film number right here. It's not there, but we'll keep an eye out for it. But you can go to this group data and scroll down, and here you see an image group number. I'm going to grab that and Control C because I'm on Windows, or you can Command C. And then I'm going to go to FamilySearch, not Labs though, just FamilySearch. And this is where you get to the documents. All of the documents that we are seeing on this full text search are records that we could actually access on the FamilySearch site by doing a search for records. And since I have that film number, I'm going to go to catalog and say film and then paste it in there and click search. And hopefully it should say, you remember it was Clinton Deed Books 1848 to 1865. It should be in here. And then we need to find that same number. It was ended in 019. Oh, there's another page because I was not seeing it. There it is, 019. We could go here and let's see how many pages. There were 623. So if we go to page 163, we should be able to get to that. Oh, there it is. I was like, I'm not seeing the blue highlight. And let's see if we got it. We did. It's right there. So if you need to go to the original source to find out more information about it or create a citation, that's how you can do it. And we might run across some of those today, but one thing I noticed is sometimes the image numbers are a lot less, but it says on here, it says like item 1 or item 3 or whatever. And you have to come in here and you have to kind of calculate the page based on which image, because it's got different collections, different items within that roll of film. Okay, let's go back to our results here. So we had some deed books, some wills, and you guys are free to ask questions or make comments whenever. So we've got will, we've got this orphan record. So let's take a look at this. You can also see here which ones I've already opened. If it's red, I've already opened it. If it's blue, I have not. And this is one of mine because he was of Allison Township also. So this is orphan records, one of the children and a descendant of Robert Stewart, late of Allison Township. Jane was his wife. So these are records for him. But let's scroll in. And this is the election of let's see what it called it. It said MD. His name is MQ. His Robert's wife's last name was Quigley, and he was Michael Quigley Stewart. So this is MQ Stewart. But you can see, I'm impressed at how well it reads these. Let's look. It's not perfect, like I said. We just saw the MD instead of MQ. But it's the election. I'm reading over here, and I'm going back and forth with my eyes. The election of MD Q Stewart to take the estate of Robert Stewart deceased. I'm not sure if that's the word take. That doesn't really but I don't know what it says. Whereas by virtue of certain, and this says provisions, maybe. I'm not sure what that says. If somebody thinks they know what that says, of the orphans court. Now, so when I don't understand what a word is, sometimes you start reading it and then your eyes get used to it and then you go back and then I would be like, oh, that's what the word is. But at this first glance, I'm not seeing what that word means. But so we can check the writing, and we can also see how if I was looking for MQ Stewart on this document, let's see if they ever called him MQ. Here they called him Michael L., but it's Michael Quigley. So we wouldn't have found him by searching for MQ or Michael Q Stewart. We would find based on Robert Stewart. And here we have Michael Q again. Yeah, that's where they put the L. So proceedings, thanks, Leslie. And let's see, whereas by virtue of certain proceedings, that's very well, of the orphans court, that would make sense. Okay, let's go back. I'm going to close this one, and we're going to just scroll down a bit more. We've got deeds, orphan courts. Here's a warrant. Let's take a quick look at that. So again, we've got the translation here, and we've got this document. If you've never got to hold some of these documents, I went to the National Archives last October, I think it was, and got to hold some of these, which were quite big and a heavy paper that kind of surprised me. And you can feel the stamp and stuff, the seal. But here we have this about the lands of Robert Stewart and Lock Haven. That's where he lived. And I've been there to his land. This is actually probably Robert Stewart Jr., the son, because William W. Barker is the son-in-law of Robert Stewart Sr. So I'm guessing this is probably the brother-in-law instead. So they're brothers-in-law. Okay, so let's go back up to the top. So we did the location. We can also go by year instead of, so we did place. That's when we went to United States and Pennsylvania. We can also do year. So he died in 1854. He was born in 1773. I could look there. I'm kind of interested. This would not be my person, but I think it'd be fun to see what is back in 1500. So we have a couple things in England, a probate and a baptism. But that's also, if you've got a very common name like Robert Stewart and you're trying to narrow it down, this is where I could say, okay, it would be 1700 or 1800. These other records are too early or too late. And then let's look at record type. So this is really interesting. One of the things I've really been seeing is that these are not always correct. They're often incorrect as how they're filed. So we have some legal records, which is what we'd expect. And actually, that's one of the biggest new records we have today is the court records and these legal records, which there's such incredible documents in here, and we can learn so much by the court records. So I hope we'll get to find some court records. I mean, I have a list of some things we're going to look for that I've already found, but like photographs. Well, I look at these and you can see these small little images don't look like they have photographs, but there is one down here, I think. There's one. So that's why this one is filed as a photograph, because there is a photograph of somebody, and it does have the words Robert Stewart. It's not my Robert Stewart, but here's Robert Stewart. But some of these others, I have to kind of use my imagination to see why I think they would show up in this category. But I think what happens is sometimes, like this, it sees that is not just regular text. That's something big. I've also seen just like a really frilly thing, you know, like a squiggles on the top of a page, and it puts those as photographs. So if you see, oh, you found your ancestor and it says there's photographs, that may or may not be correct. Let's see. Let's go back up here. We're going back to record type, but not photographs. So this is one way I can say I want a different type. So I'm going to close photographs and see what else we have here. We've got census, religious records, genealogies, miscellaneous records. Let's see what's here. Other, miscellaneous, society, correspondence. I don't think I've looked at a correspondence. Here we've got plantation records from Minnesota in the early, mid 1800s. And let's see what we've got here. Again, this would not be my Robert Stewart, but it's something we could find. I think I might read it over here instead. It's talking about March, find a great difference in its being something. So here you can see these are probably not correct words. But it says, counting Nelson and Jane, there are 46. I'm going to try to read it from here instead. I today made another measurement of mine, March 20th, and find a great difference in it being something quart. Anyway, you can see how some of these that are hard to read. So when I talk about handwriting recognition and artificial intelligence, if it's hard for us to read, it's going to be hard for it to read also. And sometimes we know what it should say, like the Michael Q. Stewart, because I knew that guy's name. But that Q, I mean, we actually don't see the cursive Q that often. And you remember it put a D once and an L once. So it makes mistakes, just like we make mistakes. Or if we did a transcription and we had our friend do it and then we compared, there would probably be parts of it that we would discuss and say, well, I thought it said this, and somebody said they thought it said something else. And so it's not perfect, but wow, there's so much we can find so quickly by doing this. I didn't mean to do that part. I meant to stay in record types. School records, vital records, business, government, reference materials, voting records, migration records, medical. Let's look at a medical. I found some fascinating vaccination records. Again, not for my own people, but I think this is one of these. So 1872, a vaccination. I need to learn more about vaccinations. The one I found the other day was from 1889, and these are England. But it says, so this is very much like what I was looking at before. So first we have the number, this is the birth register, when born, where born, name of the child, sex, name and surname of the father, rank, occupation, or profession. This is great. We're finding out he is a grocer's porter, a laborer, a joiner, a laborer of an iron foundry. And then these are the vaccinations. Again, I don't know what vaccinations were being given in 1873. If anybody knows, let me know. But we have the date it was given and to whom given. Minutes of notice. Oh, who did they give the notice to saying, we vaccinated your child? Because sometimes it's a father, sometimes it's a mother. I guess some of them got a medical certificate. And then we have a date of death. So this child was born, or the vaccination was given in January 1872, born December 1871, and died in March 1872. So fascinating if you could find some of your own family in these early vaccination records. I think that's just incredible. Okay, so we looked at record types. Now let's look at collections. This is where it tells you exactly. If you were over on FamilySearch, and let's go to FamilySearch, the regular FamilySearch, oops, and search for the collections or the catalog. And we want Alabama wills and deeds. So I'm going to put Alabama, and click search. And this would be under probate records, probably probate records. And it was wills let's look at this, wills and deeds, 1700s to 2017. So I'm not sure exactly which one it was looking at. But we could go over on this side and find the actual record. Or again, a different way to do it is let's click on this Mobile, Alabama wills for Robert Stewart. Again, not my Robert Stewart, but we can, oh, here it's showing you. This is a great example because I just figured this out. I think this is new and maybe it only shows up when there's different items because again, I just saw it yesterday for the first time. So we want this film number. And if this is not here, remember we go over to this right side. I know the little, whoops, didn't mean to do that. The little duck's kind of in the way. But we go to groups and scroll down and you'd get this. It says item 3 of 3. Here it says item 3. And so let's go here and go to the catalog. Film number. And I'm going to paste that. I don't know if that would work or not. And we're going to go to this record. So it's film number that ends in 6521. Oh no, that's a lot of pages. Well, let's see, 65. This one's not the best one to try this on. Oh, 6521. Nope, that's not a 6. Anyway, I'm not going to try to find on this one. But what would happen is this says 725 pages. And most likely from what I've seen, if I found that actual film record, and there's probably a better way, maybe some of you know how to get to it because I searched for the film number, it came up here, but I click on it and it gives me that whole record set. Yep. Thank you. I see that, Robin. Let me put that up. And thanks, Baker. The citation right here, let's look at this. And so you have a citation here. These are just usually not up to the EE standards, evidence explained, but let's see, Mobile, Alabama, United States records, which we probably wouldn't put that. Images, family search, it's got the thing, and it's got the date we accessed, which usually we say accessed on image, Alabama. This is actually, and especially if you are not trying to publish it, and this helps you get back to the original, you do want to understand what this document is. You want to get into the that also. So let me see, you said up top next to attached to tree. I have to, and Renee, I see that you said you tried to save it. Let's see what that says. To my source box and the box and the citations included. That's great. I can't find the citations in the upper right. Oh, this part I think you're saying. No. Mobile, wills. Oh, this is the whole image group collections, details. I don't see it. Sorry. Or maybe somebody can say it again. But I'm not finding it. Okay. We will go back to another one and we'll see if we can find it. So these are the different record types. I do want to show you. Let's go back to FamilySearch Labs. So when you go to experiment, it tells you these advanced search tips. And so it says to use quotation marks if you want that exact phrase. That means, whoops, let's go like this. We were doing, I'm going to do a different one. Jacob Koppenbarger, which is one of my 4 times great-grandfathers. But if I say Jacob Koppenbarger in quotation marks, it has to find on one of those 2 pages, if there's 2 pages there. I think this one only has 1 page because they're single, they're loose papers. It needs to say Jacob Koppenbarger. If I did not have the quotation marks, and this is kind of standard searching techniques. If I didn't have this, wow, now we're at 14 million. I didn't see what it was before, but because it could have things that were not Jacob and Koppenbarger together. Like here we've got some Koppenbargers and we have just Jacob. And that's interesting because this is actually part of my family here, but it's Jacob Koppenbarger wasn't listed there. So that's how we use quotation marks. Let's go back. The next one, whoops, that's not going to work. Go to experiment again. The next one, it says to include a specific word or phrase, use the plus symbol. So let's do Jacob Koppenberger. And we could put a keyword up here. So here's my tree. I'm going to look for Jacob Koppenberger to find a place. And it's the senior. So he was in, well, let's say with. So we wanted to have, it has to say with somewhere on that, which hopefully I'm saying that right. And it could be wife. So here we have, oh, I didn't mean to say Robert. This is Jacob Koppenberger. So it needs to say Jacob Koppenberger, and it needs to say with on there somewhere. And here we've got one. This is a court record from 1809 to 1812. But you can see it actually is not part of the same record. We've got Jacob Koppenberger listed up here, which is probably my Jacob. And it's an indenture and bargain of sale from Jacob Koppenberger and Katie, or Catherine, his wife. I love seeing that because I've only seen her name a few times. So Katie, which I've never seen Katie like that, C-A-T-Y. That's exciting. And his wife, to John. So I would say Houndshell, maybe. Oh, that's what it gave to, was acknowledged. So that's what that is. But then down here we see with. So it's not actually the same record, but it's on the same page. So June, TB and pneumonia vaccines were developed by then. Thank you. I just find that so cool. And I'd love to find an early vaccination record for an ancestor. And so you see what the plus means. Let's go to the next one. So if you want a minus, we could say, this one's a little harder. Like, let's say we were doing Jacob Koppenberger and it kept finding Jacob Koppenberger's, let's say we didn't want anything that said something about Missouri, maybe Newton. I know this is my family, though. I know who Obadiah Hooper is. I'm seeing if there's something else I don't recognize. Well, one way I can find if there's a place I don't recognize is go to place. They're all in the United States. And I know about the Virginia. I know about Missouri. I don't know anything about anybody being in South Carolina. I could pull this up. Oh, Polly, I know who they are too. Anyway, I could say minus Polly. Let's go back without this. And it would get rid of. Now, but the danger of putting a minus on anything is because, again, it's looking at that 2-page spread. And so if it sees Polly, it's going to skip Polly. And maybe that Polly had nothing to do with your record. It's on somebody else's record, but now you've just lost access. You're not going to see that one. So I would be careful doing that. But if you have, I can't even really think of a good example. I was going to say like baker, but you're not going to be seeing bakers like, oh, they're going to say stir in the flour and stuff, because these are not those type of records. We also have this question mark where I'm not going to really give you an example of that one, but where the question mark Jensen would return Jensen or Jensen, 2 different spellings. So question mark puts 1 letter different, or the asterisk symbol, which it says it forms different forms of a root. So like if you knew Koppenberger, so like with Koppenberger, sometimes there's 2 P's, sometimes there's 1. Let's see if I do. So every once in a while I try something and it tells me it can't do that. I'm going to try this, Jacob Cope. And then I'm saying whatever you want, maybe Copeland or whatever. Right. It says we encountered a problem. The question mark and asterisk are wildcards and cannot be used within quotation marks. So instead, I would have to go like this. And let's see, almost 17 million records. But if I say it has to be on, both of these words have to be here on that 2-page spread, that will likely lessen it, because right now I think it's going to say this one maybe only had Jacob and nothing about Copid. Yeah, see, there's just Jacobs on there. And so let's see if I say it has to have both of those, if we go down from this 16.8 mil. Yeah, a whole lot down. So you have to be really aware what these symbols mean, what these rules mean. Okay, I think I think that is most of that. And then right now I want to go through some examples of things I've found. And then at the end, I'm going to try to show you what the different types of records are. So they added a bunch of records about 3 weeks ago now that I never saw an announcement. I haven't heard of an announcement, but I'm going to show you how you can find what these new records are. But first, I want to go through some example cases. So let's shut some of these, go to experiment. And I'm going to start with Abner Stewart, who is my mother-in-law's 3 times great-grandfather. So I was at North Carolina with Steve Little, who's here, and saw Renata there. She was teaching. But I had pulled up all these North Carolina. So my mother-in-law has lots of North Carolina ancestors, and I didn't get enough time to present this part. So I'm going to share some of the examples I'd come up with. And so this place that I want is in the United States, and it's in North Carolina. And they lived in Iredell County, 102 references. And so you can see we've got a lot of probate records and deeds, wills, probate, okay, and court minutes, which the court minutes, again, those are one of the new things that are just amazing. But let's go up to the top, and I want to open this one. Iredell County probate records, 1965 to 1967, which is a lot later. This, again, is her 3 times great-grandfather. Let's see what we have here. Well, it's sideways, but this folder, let's zoom in, says Abner Stewart, 1885. And let me see if I can see over to the left and slightly up. Oh, here, citation. I think that's what you were looking for. And we've got this here. That's very much like what I saw a minute ago. It also shows the film group number. So if you went straight to FamilySearch, you could search for this. And I had never noticed that. So that's a good place to go if you want to see that quick citation. But so this is Abner Stewart, 1885, which is when her 3 times great-grandfather died. And so but this says 1965 to 1967. And so for a while I thought, wow, did something not get settled until 1965 to 1967? Because that's where it's filed. But I did scroll through this. That is not the case. I don't really know why this is. Okay, I'm just making sure we stay with Abner because I want to show you what's next. Abner, 1885. So this was just filed basically in the wrong place, is my interpretation of what's going on. But the next person is Addie Stewart, 1959. That doesn't actually even quite fall in, although it probably finished between 1965 and 1967. And I just found this today, and this is an incredible record because I know who Addie B is, actually B. Addie Stewart, who she is. She actually married a Stewart also, and this is one of the descendants of Abner, and it's this whole court case, and it's fascinating, and I can't wait to dive into it. But so you need to, that's just a tip, is even when it says something like this and you're like, huh, my person was not in these years, don't just ignore that. Let's see what happens if I say, so the year was 1888, but I'm going to say I want things 1885 to 1890. And then if it just says the one match. I was going to see if it would, let me try here. That's what I wanted. There, it does show the year when you go to this fact view that there is the year 1885 on there. And there's even 1848. So that's an important button to use that I have not really been taking much advantage of. Okay, let's go to another example. It's easiest to keep going out here than trying to clear everything. Now I'm going to search for Hardy Pierce and Strickland Pierce, which are my mother-in-law's, sorry, it's hard to talk and type, second and third great-grandparents, and so father, son, although I don't have much proof that Hardy, I think it's Hardy, is the father of Strickland. And so I'm wanting more evidence, but I'm finding things like this. Okay, they lived in North Carolina. And I'm finding this is the one, I believe, where there's 2 deeds. So there's this deed here of Strickland Pierce. And then it's filed on the 10th day of January, 1850 or 1856. well, this is 1852. This could be 1850. But then this is the next deed. And it's made on the 21st of October in the year 1845. So, but it sounds like they're just now coming to the courthouse to file these. The term is August 1852, and it was recorded on the 18th day of October 1852. And let's check out this one. I'm going to go to the next page. Because if they had to travel a ways to the courthouse, family could have come together. And yeah, we've got another October 1852. I forgot the date. So this is more evidence that these are indeed relatives, not really that they are father-son, but this gives me more support that these were relatives and that they came to the courthouse on the same day and filed these deeds that were, at least the one was somewhat older. So we've got other things. Look, if you'll notice this, so I'm going to toggle this again, this fact view. Oh, no, I wanted it this way, I think. But you can see on lots of these, I did not put that plus. I didn't say it had to have Hardy Pierce and Strickland Pierce. So it's actually just looking for either Hardy Pierce or Strickland Pierce. If I said it has to have both of these, I can add a plus and search. And actually, that's the only deed that, or the only page, because it was actually two different deeds that shows both people. So please let me know if you've got other questions too. I'm going to go through some more examples. Or if you've tried something different than what I'm showing, something that's helped you find something. We've got Morning Mitchell. Morning Mitchell I like because if you have an ancestor with a really unusual name, it's kind of easy to search for them. And I have nobody else on my tree or my husband's tree with the first name Morning, but this is my husband's 4 times great-grandfather. And I'm just showing how easy it is. So she lived in Franklin County, North Carolina. Oh, there we've got Perry, Alabama. I would need to look and see if this is actually family. But to see what different places that her name appears, again, I can go to place. They're all in the United States. And we've actually got several just random places that are not North Carolina. Most are North Carolina, but it'd be interesting to see if any of these were actually her. I'm just checking to see if it has a husband's name or something. This is just a grantee deed index, 1899. This is too late, so it's not Morning. I'm pretty sure she was deceased by then. Okay. Let's look at, this is one. So my mother-in-law's 3 times great-grandfather was named David Miller, which is such a ordinary name. It would be hard, although I could narrow it down. I don't usually use this part, but we can try that. So David Miller, it's in Alexander County, North Carolina. And we can give that a try. So we are seeing David Miller in Alexander County. But again, with such a common name, it's hard to find him for sure. But if I say it has to have David Miller and his wife's name was Lucy, which is an unusual name, we now get some that show Lucy Miller and David. I like actually switching back and forth now, but now we can see David Miller and wife Lucy of Miller County, which they lived in Miller County, Missouri after they left Alexander County, North Carolina. So I can see this is the same family. So that's an example. I have 2 more here that I wanted to show you. So one is Richardson White. And he is my mother-in-law's 4 times great. He's from Iredell County, North Carolina. And we're going to go to Iredell, apply. And I loved this one, which I might have to search real quick. So, but it gave me part of the fan club. So he was a witness, and it said, my 2 trusty friends. I hope it finds it this time. Oh no. Let's try friends. Friends. But I found, someplace where he's friend of somebody. Maybe it's not, I'm going to try it one more time. So we're going to say Richardson. I just go out of it if I'm stuck and I can't get it to go back. Trusty friends. Maybe it wasn't an Iredale. Well, I don't know what I did wrong on that one, but I had found it earlier. But you can find fan clubs. And again, well, I guess I hadn't said this yet, but one of the beauties of this tool is that even when you do have indexes to some of these records, hi, April, even when you do have the indexes for some of these records, if they're just a neighbor or they're, their property's next to somebody's or they're a witness or something like that, you're not going to find them unless you go page by page, which this is not a replacement for going page by page. Sometimes if you're working on a really hard case, you do need to. These names could be misspelled or whatever, but this is a great way to just cast that net out and find so much stuff very quickly. I'm going to show you one more thing before we switch gears, and this is Joseph Eastwood. This is slightly switching gears to show you outside of the U.S. So this is my fourth great grandfather, and he lived in Lee's, Great Manchester County, Oklahoma. Not Oklahoma. I'm in Oklahoma. This is in England. So let's go to the UK and Ireland. I want England, and I want. Oh, maybe this one is in Lancashire. And I want Lee's. This is it. And I click apply. And this has some really cool documents, and this is my family. So if I go in this one, let me shut some of these extra windows now. This is how I work, and then I have 20 different things. I know some of you can relate, I hope. But this is one of his sons, Humphrey. Let's go back to my tree. Find in tree, Humphrey Eastwood. And it's this one, I think. I'm actually not sure which one. Yeah, son of James. But here is his baptism on June 9th, Humphrey, son of Joseph Eastwood of Leeds, by Sarah, his wife. And well, that's interesting because he had two wives, Elizabeth and then Sarah. And I have him as a daughter of Elizabeth, but this is saying Sarah. So I have some work to do here. But we've also got some other. This is actually just another baptism record, the same record, but it's in different handwriting. So it's in a different book. Okay, so let's look at what records are on Family Search. And I'll show you how I looked. So again, I'm going to start with North Carolina as the example, because when I went there, I was trying to find, I was going to show how we could see what records. And one way to do it is to just start typing North Carolina and search. We've got 22.6 million records, and we want to go to these collections. Oh, no, we don't want to go to collections. We're going to go to record type, and these are record types for North Carolina. This is not how I was going to do it. Give me just a second. That's not what I wanted to do. I think what I was doing is collection. Well, we can scroll down to North Carolina, and I had a better way. I messed it up somehow. Well, we can see everything for North Carolina. So I just scroll down to United States, North Carolina. We see biographies, births, deaths, divorce, education, employment, legal from 1810 to 1937. Marriages in 1947, 14,000 marriages. Medical, migrations, military service, others, poor relief. That sounds really cool. I'm actually going to open that up so we can look at that. It made me stop seeing what we were looking at. Miscellaneous, including widow years support in Randolph, North Carolina. And let's open that up. But if you had somebody in Randolph, North Carolina, which I do, my husband does, state of North Carolina, Randolph County. Oh, the other thing is if you hover over these, it changes it blue so you can see where on the page if there's a bunch of yellow. We, Samuel Craven, William Wright, and David Barker, School Committee of the 32nd District in said county, do certify that the school of said district has been taught by Tyson Trojden at the price of $36.55 for the term of 44 days. Wow. I wonder if that's how long the school year was. And that the following contains the number and names of the children taught in said district. So here we have the number of names. So we've got some Cravens, we've got these different kids, and then how many days, time each male child was at school, time each female child was at school. So you can see how many days. This is fascinating. Like he was only there 7 days. I wonder why. So amazing, cool records. Yeah, Paul, that's cool. Okay, so that's one way you can do it, is to go to the experiment. Okay, I'm in Oklahoma right now. So let's just, I swear this is how I did it last time. Oklahoma and record type. Oh, here we go. That's what I wanted to do. So we're in just Oklahoma. We have over 9 million. And what different record types? So we already looked through some of these, but these are some of the different record types you can find for Oklahoma. They have amazing school records in Oklahoma. I have found, so my husband, all 4 generations, all 4 of his grandparents were born in Oklahoma. And I have found them all on school censuses, which if I could think of a name, let's try Fred Hunter. No, I'm not. Let's just try Hunter. Anyway, so you can find, this is interesting, probate, Oklahoma school census and probate records. I think that's probably not quite what we expect. Let's see what it really is. Annual school census record. Yeah, maybe probate records. This is a very long file, 1,355. Well, I can't enlarge that part. But this is 5 civilized tribes, McIntosh County. So that's pretty cool. The other thing is when you are looking, so again, not again, but my husband does have Native American ancestors. And you will find those records that I'm found so far under United States, because the United States was taking counts and different things. So I wanted to show one of the coolest records I thought that I found. This was not mine, but when I was trying to find other places, again, really, I'm just seeing Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK and Scotland are the only things really outside of the United States. So hopefully I tried to find German records. In fact, I tried doing that by saying, like, typing a German name here, and I'm just not finding those. I think maybe I found a couple, but really they're just not there. But here was a neat name, a neat record, Johnson Man, and I think it might have the T in it. And this is for North Carolina. Oh, yeah, I know it. No, the place is, oh, no. This is another one I think I messed up, and I'm not sure where it is. I was looking for, this is what I was looking for. I was looking for the word North Carolina. Whoops. But this is, I want to show you how you can find records for your family that are not where you're expecting them. Maybe it's Johnston. I think there is a T there. Oh, man. Let's try it one more time. And if not, I'll just tell you what I found, and maybe I can post it later. So plus Johnston Man plus North Carolina. Well, what I found, what I found was a bastardy bond. Oh, I'm using the wrong name. That was for a bastardy bond, which I can't find. But the other is for Ernest Edwards. This is Osage, North Carolina. But when I searched for him, I found in England a workhouse register, and it said this guy was from North Carolina in the English record, and just amazing some of what you can find. I also found, let's see if I can find this one. Porter. I wrote down all my notes, so I'm not sure why I'm not, evidently I did something a little different. This one, this Porter McClay Brown was, again, I had put North Carolina on there, and it came across a New Zealand will from 1950 something. And this person was giving a brooch with somebody's photograph into it, and it said who the photograph was, to somebody who lived in North Carolina. So if you have North Carolina ancestors, you're probably not looking in New Zealand or England to find out more information. I just love this. I hope you keep trying things, Heather. I love that. And I had just a couple more. One of my favorites, because this added so much to my tree. And again, I just keep playing, and I just found this one in the past few days. So Millie Wild, this is the daughter of one of my ancestors. I don't know what's happening. This is, it's Mally. It's not Millie. Mally Wild. Please be there. Okay, place. Oh, here it is, because you can see the red. So I open this up. It says Oldham, Lancashire, England, burial records 1857 to 1865. That is where this is James Eastwood's daughter, or Joseph Eastwood's daughter, one or the other. And I opened this up because it said burial records. And I've already started studying this. Oh, this isn't even what I found. This is actually her burial record. And it's the township of Oldham, which is where they're from. The number, the position and number of grave, name, residence, date of death. So she died in 1860 on February 3rd. And then she was buried on February 8th. Oh, I hope I can find this. Here it is. The gravestone transcription records. This blew me away. And I'll show you how much of this I do not already have. This says, in memory of Sarah, the daughter of James and Mally Wild. Let me show you James and Mally Wild. Let me put it right here. Mally. Well, maybe it's here. There's Mally. So this again is the daughter of my ancestors, Joseph Eastwood and Sarah Bradbury. And so it says, in memory of Sarah, the daughter of James and Mally Wild of Lees, who departed this life on July 20th, 1851, in the 4th year of her age. So this is Sarah, who died in 1851. Here's Sarah. I have no idea when she died. Also, William, their son, who departed this life March 1857, in the 12th year of his life. So he would have been born in 1845, William. Here's William. So I would have had about 1846, knew nothing about him. Also, Joseph, their son, who departed this life 1857, in the 2nd year of his life. So in 1855, a son named Joseph. I didn't even have him. So this is really the entire family. This is, and I look, these are gravestones. It's saying this is the gravestone. I don't really know what this looks like. If somebody's done more English records, then maybe you can tell me, like they have a family gravestone or something. I was just amazed. But then when I saw that, I was like, well, what about the Eastwoods? And I went to the index and I found it, but I can do it this way too. So I think I'll find it. But it's a handful of pages earlier. And it's the same thing with my direct ancestor and his first wife and some of their children. Place, excuse me, England, Lancashire. Ooh, and it's not Lees. Oh, Oldham. I think it might be Oldham. Oh, that's not Oldham. I think it might be this. But again, it's just amazing. Well, I don't see it right offhand, but it's a few pages different, and it's again an entire family. So how are you saving these to my tree? Well, so far I've been just like saving it. I don't have my bars up there. I actually am just saving these sites right now. But what I will do when I start doing this, so you can download the image. Let's do this one here. We could either download this and I could save it someplace. I don't want to open up my files. Or really, I do Snagit most often, and I would grab Snagit, which Steve Little taught me all about Snagit. He's here online if he's still here. But I would grab this picture. Excuse me. Yeah. Anyway, I would grab the image, save it, then go to Ancestry. So here's Mally. And then I would go to the gallery. and I'm going to add, drag or choose, so a photo or something. And so I would add that image and I would describe it and say what's in there and everything. And I would also then come in and start filling this in. So like Sarah, we now know when she died. I think it had her exact date, July 20th, 1851. So this is Sarah. So I can come into here and say July 20th, 1851, and it was in Lees, Lancashire, England. And then I could come down here on the death. Whoops, not on her death, on Sarah's death. And I could explain where we got that death. So I could edit it. And for now, I think I'm just going to put this link, but I could do the citation. Yeah, there it is. And I could say, or I could make a better one, but I am going to just put this in there for now. And I'm going to put this citation, click save and close. And now people can see if they get to my page and they want to know where I got this death date, they can now go directly to it. And that's interesting because she was born in she died 1851, but she was on the 1851 census as a 3-year-old, which is why I had her born about 1848, but it looks like she was probably born 1847. Thank you, Steve. Oh, thank you. I remember you had a different name on there, but however you say your name, I will have to look for that site because I do have that. But other questions before we call it in? I think I covered everything I really wanted to. I would love to hear what you guys are discovering and how you're doing it. And I found a few more. Here's another one. Found a deed judgment record for my great-grandfather. Never knew about it. I mean, honestly, I think if you've got a family line where you went out there to FamilySearch and read through everything and really done a great job on it, you might not get anything new on that family. But if, like so many of us, if there's families, I work on so many different families, both my families, my husband's. I do specific research projects at time and I deep dive then. But a lot of it, I'm like, I've never spent a lot of time on specific families and I haven't gotten everything I could find about them. But this is an incredible way to quickly grab lots of records for a family and to break through those brick walls and find records where all of a sudden you have a will for somebody's father, like, because they often list women with their married names. So if you search for some, Mary Smith, and that's her married name, you might see a record in that same place saying the dad to Mary Smith, husband of Joseph Smith or whatever, and find a record right there that's telling you the answer to some of these questions. So any other questions? Oh, thank you. Renata, just a second, let me grab that. Sourcebox is not something I've been using. So I think that's what this is right here. So she said it's helpful. So this Sourcebox, add image to Sourcebox. Save this source to your account where it can be accessed by clicking your name. So I could say this is Eastwood, I think is what I could do. Create new folder. Well, it's not quite working. Source title. I could say this is Mally Wild's burial record. I messed that up, but anyway, you know what I'm doing. Save. And then, Renata, are you still here? Can you tell me how I get to that now? Because I don't. Go to my source box. I actually figured it out. So click here, go to my source box. Well, look, I've got something else and it's the same family. I've done it this once before. And we can also, I believe, attach these. Oh, this is not old and burial records. Yeah. I could attach it to the tree. Like I can get Mally's ID number and attach it to her. So everybody on FamilySearch, when they go into that tree, master tree, can figure it out. So that's a great idea. I will be using that instead of just, I'm a queen of sticky notes. And so I love it. Again, when I'm focused on something, I can get a lot done. But a lot of the time I'm just playing and finding these things. And then I sometimes forget. So anyway. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. It's been an hour. I've had so much fun. I hope you've learned things. Again, I hope you'll share with me some of what you discovered. This video is available on YouTube. It will be up there. So I hope you'll share it with your friends if you got something out of it, and check out some of my other videos, and let me know if there's other live streams you'd like me to do, because this was just a really fun format. It's fun to be here and be able to chat with you guys back and forth. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.